Happy New Year, everyone. From the past, I guess. This will be coming out after the New Year. It's the first video of 2021. And let's go over all the junglers that, have the best potential for Project L. I'll show at the end. I made a list of how I've separated every champion. So if there's a champion you don't see here that you think should exist, you'll see that it's either coming up or it's in the previous top lane video. But I hope everyone's holidays have been good, and yeah, let's talk these champions, because I think the jungle characters are pretty dang cool. I mean, there are a lot of characters that are, and honestly, we'll look for the ones that go beyond. So Ammumu is what I actually wouldn't put him in cool. He's like so funny in the sense that his powers are so unknown. You know, he's the sad mummy, but like we don't know anything about him except him being a depressed little guy. But the whole idea of bandages and stuff, I mean, you know, he can Spider-Man it up, wrap people up, cry a lot. They could probably make some kind of meter. Maybe like the more he's hurt, the more damage who knows? You know, he's not the top of the top craziest cool things that maybe can be done for a moveset, but I think they're pretty good. And, you know, with Project L being a tag team fighter, I think the fact that he's always been looking for friends, you know, they could probably do some cute little interactions and stuff like that. Moving up the list for me is Diana. She's just really cool. I don't know too much about her, but I love the whole idea of like the crescent blade weapon, powers of the moon, pretty damn cool. But there's nothing that puts her over that edge that for me would be something like Elise. If you watch the previous top lane video, you know that form changing to me is one of the highlights. I think that's probably the coolest aspect that, you know, multiple champions have that will kind of just bump them up for me, because I think there's so much that you can do in a fighting game for it. And for a team fighting game, like a tag team game, I actually think form changes are pretty welcome, because they kind of put in that ability for someone to invest in, you know, like Marvel vs. Capcom, Dragon Ball FighterZ. Those are 3v3 games. And this lets a couple of those people that want a little bit more characters have that in the form of, like, you can pick two form changing fighters or things like that, but they just also open up a lot. I think Elise would be really cool. Not only is she able to switch between her spider form and stuff, where maybe, you know, either she can get hang time, she can teleport with her, like, her E kind of thing, but she also summons all her little spiders so they can make something for set play. You know, just being the spider queen, switching forms, super helpful for making a really cool character design. Moving on to Evelynn. Evelynn is interesting. I think her aesthetic is cool. And again, every character, every single one could get on this game, like, roster, and cool. There is nothing wrong with any character. But if we're talking about the potential that they have for a fighting game, for being a unique character, for just honestly the desire of them coming in before some of these other characters, I would prefer to see what Riot would do with all three of these before her. For the exact reason of, like, the whole spikes coming out of the ground, I'm sure that they can make it kind of cool, but when your whole aesthetic is not being seen, you know, that kind of assassin thing, they can make her flashy. They definitely could, but to me, she doesn't have that much that would make me go, oh yeah, I really want her in the game. Fiddlesticks is another really curious one, where I almost feel like, you know, his kit, I don't know if bland is the word, but his kit in League, kind of like a Ammumu, like, it doesn't lend too much, but I think that the character himself does have a lot of potential. Scarecrow clones, I mean, Faust makes scarecrows for his teleport, so, you know, that's already something of swapping. He has his, like, blink ultimate, swarm of crows. You can have crows come in for projectiles, and he's just such a cool, like, the terror freaking scarecrow, that I personally, I'm gonna put him up to take my points. He's not the level of Elise for me or something like that, but I think that his whole aesthetic and like what he can bring to the table is definitely very high in terms of customization, unique options, and playstyle. They really could go a lot of different ways with him, which is really cool in my opinion. I would love to put him at take my money, but Gragas to me is like Nido. Cool. Like, you can make a really funny kit, and maybe, you know, super armor is something that is prevalent in fighting games where it's a little bit divisive, but I think that there are possible good ways that you can go about it. For you people that are mainly coming from League and don't play many fighting games but are anticipating this, super armor is like the ability to not get hurt, like knocked back. You might still take damage, but it's like you could tank someone hitting you and go start up your combo on them. So, you know, Gragas being the big man that he is, I think could really fit to that and ties in with, what was it? Do they still have it? His one where he takes the big swig and he takes reduced damage on the next hit. You know, that idea kind of ties in pretty well. And I think that's still something cool that can be done, you know, kind of signal to the enemy, like, I'm about to go in now by taking the swig, and then he can get empower attack and stuff. But, you know, there's just not really too much to him past, I think, the comedy aspect. But they could make him still very cool. It is possible. Graves is kind of the same for me. He has a shotgun and stuff, but it's just, there's not anything that extra bit, that like magical, cool, stylish element that like they bring to the table. And like Jinx is just so popular from just her personality, from now Arcane, of course. So of course they're showing that they can make a moveset out of her, but she's like gadgets. She has all these different things. She could bring new gadgets to the table, but we've never seen. I don't know. I mean, maybe Graves could, but that's certainly not a part of his aesthetic, and I think other characters could do it better. So the quick shot gunman, it'd be cool to see him in, but he's not high up for me. Hecarim is really clunky, in my opinion. I think Hecarim, power-wise, you know, and being the what was it, the harbinger of the Shadow Eye, whatever he is of the Shadow Eyes, he's definitely in the higher realm of powers, but being a centaur type creature, person, thing existing on the screen, I think is really clunky. I don't know how he would fit too well on the game. So I would love to see what they do to that. But I almost feel like just would be very difficult to even work and put in. But, you know, okay, he has his like cool, what's there? Does it start with an S? Whatever weapon he has, you know, is pretty cool. And he has these ghost powers and stuff. So he's like a Nido for me. He can bring in a lot of cool things. Ivern, I think Ivern is like easy take my money. Having a puppet characters might be hard to do in a tag team fighter, but having Daisy already, like, to me, that is the true puppet archetype, is him. And I think also his whole aspect of being of the forest, of nature, you know, you could tie in a lot of stuff. You could maybe make him be a summon character and bring in, like, that's how they get that representation of the map of League of Legends. Like, he brings in the Krugs for some moves, because he has all those voice lines, you know, where it's like, oh, Brambleback, what you know, like, I think that would actually be such a cool opportunity to do a summon character, and he would bring the entire jungle of the Rift to life with him. So he is easily, for me, an absolute take my money. Massive potential that they have going for him, for sure. Jarvan is kind of like Graves and them, but I might be biased. I actually really like to play Jarvan. He's at least the Nido for me. I think his kit itself, with the like, one, having like an extending lance is already a pretty damn cool weapon. Works well for a fighting game. It comboing, having the knock up with his His flag toss is really cool, and that's already, you know, a 1-2 combo that would be really cool to see translated over into the game. And, you know, maybe he could have some kind of thing. You toss the flag down, it stays in the map, and you buff not only him, but a teammate coming in. You know, I don't know if they're going to go that buff kind of route, but that's still at least some potential for something. You know, he's obviously very strong to have his Cataclysm come in. Maybe he could warp the map, can find the space for the opponent and keep them in. I see more, at least, ways that even though he might, I don't know if he'll have any new tricks up his sleeve that the fighting game could bring out. I do think that his moves translate really well into bringing some maybe either unique mechanics, like maybe with his ult, or at least just like they would translate really well, I think, 1-to-1 in a fighting game. And then his weapon's cool, you know, and such. I think that works. Kayn, that's cool scythe character, you know. There's gonna, I feel as time goes on, be a lot of the Zed talent, like not all of them will make it in, all these assassins with their weapons and stuff, but of all of them, him with the Darken inside of him, I mean, that's just such a cool thing to explore. And whether they have installs, maybe he turns into his Rost form, or, you know, he has his own Shadow Ascended form, whatever it is, Shadow Step, all these things, he has like the powers to truly, you know, create some kind of, I wouldn't even say create some kind of awesome moveset. They can mold him probably into whatever character they would desire of him. In whatever this, you know, their archetype spaces are, he's probably very malleable in that sense and is really cool. Just, you know, in that whole Darken thing. I mean, to me, the Darkens are pretty damn solid for this. Kha Zix also kind of falls into that. His whole ability of evolution. Now, I don't know if they can make evolution work to the extent that it does of having multiple iterations, but this is again something of like, you know, maybe he could level up per round or adapt per round. I don't know what you would have to do to input that or anything like that, but he brings a lot of, you know, his ability to fly. He can shoot a projectile with his spikes. Maybe they could bring in, he does more damage if you've already killed your opponent's teammate or like one of your opponent's teammates. So he's almost your anchor where you want to bring him in for like maybe the 1v1 at the end or something like that. I think he, like, again, he brings in a lot of aspects that like the unique bits of how he plays in game and also just at what he is as a creature, I think speaks really well to, they can make some like unique role in the fighting game ecosystem for him. So he's not at that. I mean, actually, we'll come back to him. He might go up to this because of that kind of thing, but he's at least in this like upper half for me of like he has that kind of stuff. Same with Kindred and Wolf. Having Wolf, it's kind of like Quinn. Honestly, a cooler, you know, depending who you're talking to, but I think kind of a cooler thing of Quinn where it's like you could have a main ranger character and then you have this kind of sub puppet that you're sending back and forth. Again, biggest puppet is Daisy with Ivern, but you know, also just Lamb and Wolf, you know, being Kindred themselves is just such a cool concept for a character, and I think would really work well in a fighting game, especially being a kind of ADC, you know, ranged fighter, but like with the caveat of being a more medium ranged fighter, not a far ranged fighter, because I do think that is much easier to translate into a fighting game, especially with Wolf. Lee Sin, I mean, he's like fan wise, this is like the one time I'm gonna break the rule. I'm just gonna like, does he have crazy unique things? I'm not sure, but I feel like Lee Sin is like one of those characters that like they're like, we're gonna put him in and they're gonna find some way that he feels like the coolest fighter you could have, because he's just, you know, he's Lee Sin. Like, you know, if you play, you know, and even if you don't like him, like you kind of know that he just is that character. He's like almost what like the people from playing League. He's like he in universe has that feeling of being this like super powered character just because we've had like players pull off the insane kicks, like insect kicks or whatever it is. That's like they've almost given us the feeling from like the plays at Worlds and whatever. That's like, no, you know, Lee Sin has to be in. He's Lee Sin. For better or worse of what he inspires in solo queue. So I'm putting him up there because there's that thing in me that it's like, yeah, his kit will be awesome because they will just make him awesome, you know? Lillia. Now, I'm not going to lie. I don't know too much about Lillia. I see her a lot when I've come back to play the game. She's kind of, it's like she's like Hecarim of just like, her body seems like it would be so awkward just to make that work in the game. And the whole drowsy mechanic, tossing the like bauble seed that hits the opponent. I mean, it's fine. I'm sure they could do something, but like especially compared to those above, it's just I don't see something from her that I'm like, ooh yeah, make a moveset like this. Like I'd honestly just I'd put her in cool. It would be cool if they figure it out, but I think there are many other characters you could have. Master Yi's interesting because he's kind of like Lee Sin to me, where it's like but the opposite. I should say the opposite, where it's like his kit is relatively simple in concept, and I don't know how much could translate over to the fighting game. But unlike Lee Sin, where it's like I feel like he's been given this gravitas and stuff, I feel like part of what makes Master Yi is like in the 5v5 or with things like his jumping around between different points and jumping around a lot of different enemies on screen. So when you have the 1v1, and he doesn't bring like he just is super godlike samurai, you know, he doesn't bring in this crazy magic. He has his wushu powers, and that's pretty it. That it's like, you know, maybe this is an opportunity for them to flesh him out, to explore more things, but I don't personally, I don't see what about him would inspire that. You know, I think there are many more characters that, again, Nidalee, like, even if it's just spears and traps, the ability to transform into her cougar form, that to me is huge for a fighting game. And she's a cool character, you know, the jungle princess. I think, I don't actually fully know. But again, the whole just transforming aspects give a lot to a character. She has, you know, the ability to fight close range. We could see her fight close range as a human, and that could work. And being able to, like, you know, what is it, her dance where she like swings around when she puts her spear in the ground, like you could turn that into an attack. Hell, you could turn that into a combo of swing, kick the opponent, and then she jumps off her spear, transforms into a cougar, and mauls the opponent. You know, like whatever it is, like that's why to me it's like that's what this gap is. Both could be characters, totally could, but like there's just so much room to play with movesets, with like potentials, their ranges, their archetype, when you have powers like that of transformation. Nocturne, again, his kit is not crazy. I would put Nocturne maybe actually in here. I don't know. He might also be down here. Because he can be really hype in the game and stuff, but like spell shield, you know, he could maybe tank someone's ability and stuff like that. If we're talking about translating things over, he could lay down his darkness and then maybe combo faster, travel faster. That actually sounds kind of cool. But other than him having, you know, just being a death missile in League and other stuff like that, like he is kind of just like one of those staples of League that like he sells the aesthetic, but like as far as him with his lore, his powers and stuff, I don't know if there's anything that really gives him that edge over the other characters. And it would like Nocturne is cool. He's really cool. But yeah, I don't see what about him would kind of put him over these others. Like, even though, like, to me, I think Nocturne's cooler, Nunu at least, like, you know, he can do stuff with Willem. And they have this kind of, they can make a very tall character. They could have what was it, like something similar almost to like Bowser Jr. in Smash Ultimate, where it's like if you hit Bowser Jr.'s head, it moves to, I think it's like 1.2% of damage, while if you hit the car, it does like 0.8. Like, that's even if it's those slight little things, especially in a fighting game, which are much more, you know, constricted in their plane. You're not like flying off the stage or doing all these things. Like those are important. And even those little mechanics change how someone approaches a matchup, changes how someone plays it. So just having that kind of possibility is pretty good. Now, again, he's not the level of these, like, I know like Nunu Willem is like kind of one of those things where no one really knows their power level. They just have been around so long and then got reworked. That's like, okay, here they are. But yeah, you know, also throwing snowballs, creating the giant boulders and stuff. I think they have the potential to do a good amount of cool stuff. Olaf, I brought him up in the top lane ranking video, or quickly mentioned him. I think Olaf is easily a take my money character for the reasons of, I think that he fits so well in a fighting game and can remix fighting game mechanics really uniquely. The concept of him throwing his his axes and picking them up, he can do stuff like Rammus does that. I believe there was some character in Persona Arena that threw daggers and you pick up. I believe, I could be wrong about the game, but the concept of throwing in a resource and picking it up is usually a very unique one, but has been seen across a couple of games, and I think he's a great opportunity to take advantage of that. I also think, like I said, with super armor, he, with his ultimate of not taking any crowd control and just dashing in for damage, I think he is the perfect example of a character who might not be a tank. Usually it's the tankier characters, the slower ones that have super armor, and it's their armor that like helps them get in on an opponent and like maybe tank a hit, and they're high health and damage, and like that's fine for them to then get in and then they start their game. I think Olaf's a really cool example of a character that could be a fast rushdown character with not too much health, but if you use his armor at the right times, he will get in and make you explode with, you know, lightning strike damage. Like I mean, he just has fast attack speed as it's like an injection, like his W. But that whole thing of just already throwing axes, bursting through an opponent's attack, Olaf to me is like one of the ultimate characters for translating their moves over, and it could be just phenomenal. Also, he's a Viking, like, you know, we don't get too many of those in fighting games. I think that's pretty cool. Rammus. Look, if they make something happen, if they make this Sonic the Hedgehog ass, God, I love Rammus conceptually, but like, okay, like, I don't know. Surprise me, Riot. I'm sorry. he, you know, he would be neato, but dude, I don't know. I don't know if there's ever been a tanky small character, but that's the thing, is that kind of sounds like hell. If you have to hit the small character a lot to kill them, I don't know. Not too great for me. Reksai is, to me at least, to take my points. I think she's pretty damn cool. And she's not humanoid, but she at least can fit, I think, with how she kind of stands in that like crouch form, can go up on hind legs, and just how like she is. She can fit that like being a beefier character model without being something crazy unwieldy that I don't know how she would fit on the screen. You know, also she can send her, projectile when she's burrowed down. She could just be a really solid scrapper, but then the thing that puts it over for me is, of course, her burrowing powers. Maybe it wouldn't be to the level of like leaving down paths and stuff that she would do like she does in the game, But, you know, the whole concept of digging into the ground, jumping out. You've had Noob Saibot do that. Like, characters do that all the time, but I think that that is still such a cool thing to do. And to have the burrowing queen, you know, I think would be pretty sick. Rengar feels dirty to do this to him. I'm putting him in Nido. I almost would be tempted to put him down here. I do think he can bring some cool stuff to the table with his attacks, with you know, maybe some kind of leap thing that he could do. It'd be cool maybe if they do still have the bushes. Maybe, you know, Ivern, Rengar would actually down the road be an actual team. You know, if they ever get to the point where they start working in those little interactions, that would be kind of wild. Then the game would get ridiculously complex. But it's not like Kha Zix, who's like, you know, projectile this. Like, he might have his cool you know, maybe some tools we don't know of. Like, he has his bola, is that what they're called, that he tosses out to slow people. And maybe he could have something similar to that and get a new thing, but I don't know. To me, that's where he sits. Sejuani, ice powers are cool. I like that, but she's kind of like these other ones where she's very hefty on the screen, and I don't know. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know what they would do to like give her like real combos, you know? Like, yeah, she's sitting on top of her boar. Like, if they found a way that she like got off it and fought, that'd be kind of cool, but I don't know what that would be, you know? So that's the thing with the potential. If they found a way that it's like, you know, in game you play Sejuani on the boar, and then they, in the fighting game, it's like she gets off it and maybe they give her a new weapon or something, and like you see this new side of her, and it's like, oh, this is why, you know, she is one of the 3 like leaders in the Freljord. Then to me, that's a take my money. You know, I'm gonna actually put her in take my points, and this is just a plea. Riot, find a way that she just fights on her feet. That would be kind of sick. If you find a way to make her, like, that's almost what this fighting game would, to me, make it all that more special, is when you take a character who has, that's still their design, you won't change that in League, but you now make this character stand, I mean, for lack of a better word, on their own, and show this other side of them in the fighting game. That would be so cool. So I'm putting in take my points just because of that possibility of having her dismount the boar and show us something new. I think that would be really damn cool. Shaco's easily a take my points in my opinion. He might also go up there, but his ability to split into clones, put down boxes, toss daggers, you know, he is just he's got tricks up his sleeve, and they could create some more things he would have. Now, I think I would hate fighting him, to be honest. I probably he'll be a character I wouldn't want to fight against, but could he bring something cool to the table? Yeah, I genuinely do think he could. So he's going to the take my points. Skarner, the crystal guy thing. I don't know, dude. It's like they've given him some cool stuff in the past years of things like his spike and tail, but it's just like for a fighting game, like he's about playing, what was it, control points in the jungle and pulling someone into the team and all this stuff. That's just like, I just don't feel like he translates well. So hey, again, Riot proved me wrong, but I don't think so. Taliyah to me is, take my honest, this is just bias. I think like the whole earth bending, stone bending, that kind of thing. Again, this is one of those things where she's kind of like Lissandra, where sure, you can, for a super move, for whatever it is, you can bring in her other like abilities that she currently has, but they could just from scratch make any freaking move set and it would work for whatever archetype they want to do. It's just like, okay, no, she from the sands makes this kind of stone structure or this rock, and it's like, oh, okay, lit. Like that's pretty dope. So she's I don't think I need to say more, you know? Talon like is neato to me. And here's why. So he had before like his teleports behind you and stuff like that, and they could bring that back and that would be cool. He has his bleeds, he has his blades he throws out. So like he has neat things, like cool things, like cool. I keep on saying that, but it's better than the cool tier. Like he has all these things, but like they've turned him into the whole parkour assassin feel, and can't really do that in this kind of game. Now again, this is a fighting game, they can differentiate him out, but I don't know that there's more that I'm curious to see of him, if I'm being 100% honest. And I would rather, for this assassin role, either play some of the, you know, ones like Kayn, Kali, talked about before. Like, I think there are just other people that I would prefer to play over him, and he currently doesn't show me that he lends to anything like that makes me go, wow, yes, like of course I want Talon to be in the game. Yeah. If we're playing a parkour or fucking Tony Hawk's League of Legends skater, like yeah, put Talon in. I'm sure he could do some pretty damn cool tricks as he like flips over a tree trunk or whatever the hell. But not really for Project Bell. Udyr, I'm putting in Take My Points. Cause so he has the whole form. He's a very between Take My Points, Take My Money, because he has the form swap stuff, but it's not to the same stances. Honestly, that's a Take My Money. The whole thing of going, especially if he has like Spirit Guard Udyr, because that's kind of, you know, what Udyr kind of should be. Like the switching between the different animal forms, the powers that come with it, that could be really dope, and I think would work really well for a fighting game. I mean, he is a fighter brawler type character, but yeah, when you tie in, now he's in Phoenix form, now he's in Tiger form, whatever it is, I think that would be pretty sick. And especially if you have different forms, you know, either they're a little light thing that they change up combos, or maybe the certain forms really do change how he plays, and that makes him a very flexible character for team comps. That would be really cool. You know, maybe Lee Sin works really well when he has Bear Udyr that can stun the enemy, and then Lee Sin's assist comes in or whatever that takes time, or, you know, whatever it is. Like, I think that the stances do lend themselves to the potential of creating really cool combinations. And you got to keep that in mind for a tag team fighter. The tag team's really important. Viego is really curious because a lot of his whole thing, right, is the control over the dead and turning into his enemy. So it's kind of like the Nico situation, but Nico's like, she just chameleons and does stuff where it's like Viego's supposed to full turn into them. So I don't know, like, if he would be some like version of Q on crack where it's like you kill your opponent and then you, if you want, can just turn into them for the rest of the fight, or what it is. But he's like neat to me. I think he could bring some stuff in, but I personally don't have too much attachment to him or a real desire to see him over again. Some of these, like, I would so much rather see Sejuani dismount the boar and like fight however she does than see Viego with like glowing lightsaber ghost sword do his thing. That's all, you know. Maybe he could do something cool, like, was it Super Baby in Dragon Ball, summoning like the opponent's assists in, you know, that could be pretty cool and stuff, but there's just not too much for me there. Warwick's curious just because it's like, you know, he is the werewolf, he's the Wick, he's Warwick. But I don't know. There's just nothing too much here. Now, maybe this this comes out when Arcane Season 2 is out, in which case a lot of people are going to put them up here, probably, you know, depending on the direction they go. But as it stands with what we know, I'm just putting him in cool. You know, it is kind of what it is. Finally, we got Zach. Zach's at least to take my points for me, if not take my money. Again, he is the flexible fight. Like he is humanoid, which makes it easy to have a base for a moveset, but the idea of splitting into his little bits of goop, you know, maybe they actually make it that he can split in half, and then you have like 2 smaller ones. Like, he is one of the characters where it's like the game. I'll just put him up here. Zach's also just fun personality, but he is one of those examples where it's like in a fighting game, like they could show so much more. You know, he was created in the lab for whatever it is, and they kind of made him like the silly jungler brawler right now. But I think his potential for seeing more of his personality, for more of, you know, what he could do in the universe of Runeterra and League of Legends and all that, I think the fighting game setting is perfect for that. You know, we could see some new techniques that he can bust out that we never have before, but damn, are they cool, you know? Wow, that's it. Wow, that just flew by. This is cool. Let's take a look. These definitely, again, this is, I kind of, yeah, I just don't want to put him lower. Look, I've explained my reasoning, so you'll know. Oh, that's my dinner almost ready. So that's these. Diana might actually go down for me. Laura, no. This is a good opportunity for them to explore, because she is conceptually very cool. And I'm sure that they could bring in a lot of stuff like her moon powers and such that would make her even cooler. And I think this is a good opportunity for that. So I'm going to leave her there. Hecarim might honestly go down. Again, it's kind of like Lillia. It's just they're so clunky for existing there that I'm not so sure. I almost want to even put Rengar lower. I think actually I'm gonna do this. Yeah, I just don't see this, like, him having that unique cool move set, like that identity that he does in the League world. I don't see that carrying over as well in the fighting game of being the Pride Stalker or whatever it is. Because again, at least like Kha Zix on the other hand, sure, you know, he has his stealth and such, but they can lean in more to that evolutionary fighter, and the isolation and stuff like that. And that's where, again, as much as Evelynn is the stealth thing, she also is very slippery. She has her spikes that come out, so they could actually probably create something a little cooler than I had given credit for with her. Kindred, I still think the idea of like comboing Lamb and Wolf is great. Going through the ground, awesome. Box play, please. Like, the more I say it, the more I want Sejuani to fight on her feet. I just want to see that. That just sounds like such a cool opportunity. I think this is the list. Yeah, that's the list. All right. So again, Happy New Year from the end of 2021, and I hope 2022 is starting out awesomely for you. If you enjoyed, let me know. It means the world to hear that, and I am so excited for this game, and I want to go over every champion, and then I even want to start going a little deeper in what this game could look like. So with that said, yeah, hope the day's going good. Hope all is well, and I will catch you the next time. Later. Whoops. So I did say I would show the list. So this was everyone that we covered in the previous top lane video, and then yeah, we just did jungle. Mid is on the way, as is ADC support, and well, these are the ones that we already know are in. So yeah. All right, now actually I gotta go and eat, so see you later.